Well, Bill C-11 is awaiting a final vote in the Senate and is likely to become law over the next several weeks. And joining us live in studio this afternoon with more on this is Federal Heritage Minister Pablo Rodriguez. Minister, thank you for being here this afternoon.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
It's big to be talking to you right now because, you know, Bill C-11, right, the sort of Streaming Regulation Act is such a significant act. So many Canadians are kind of addicted now to their streaming services. Where does it stand right now in terms of where this is going to go? And do you really think you can regulate streaming services in Canada?
Yes, we think, and we will, and I think the streamers kind of expect it. That we have many conversations, and they understand that it has to happen. The bill is very simple. It's simply asking the streamers, those that we love very much, the Disneys, the Prime, and others, to contribute to our Canadian culture, which means more money for our music, our television, our movies. So it's good news for Canadian creators.
Right. I mean, when you're in the production facility, the writing, the acting, everything, there's so much involved in this here. What's the appetite you're seeing from those streamers about their interest or keenness to do more business in Canada, but business that sort of hires more Canadians rather than just shoots here?
I think they're interested because we do great stuff, to be honest, Nick. Like, we have amazing producers, directors, actors in the musical scene. Like, look at all the singers, the bands that we have. So I think it's smart for them to come here, to produce here, and to invest here. It's good business for them.
How would you compare this to what some people may already be familiar with in terms of the CanCon regulations for music and what it did to the Canadian music industry over the years? I mean, now we have Justin Bieber, The Weeknd, Drake as sort of top of the charts, whereas, maybe 20 years ago, Canadian music was hard to find on international charts.
No, you're right. And I think this is a fundamental shift because actually there's no regulations for the tech giants and for the streamers, so they can do pretty much whatever they want. And in this case, we're going to say, listen, guys, we love what you guys do. Like, I have Disney at home and all the others. But we're saying, you're making a lot of money in our country, fine. But now you have to contribute to Canadian culture and also make sure that you showcase a little bit more what we do, because we do great stuff in Canada.
Let me talk about this because there are some YouTubers, some TikTokers that say, well, hold on a second here. This is going to impact my audience, my ability to connect with the audience that's familiar with me, et cetera. Are there going to be issues for YouTubers, TikTokers, people who have sort of a slightly different take on
this? Those are political games. I don't want to get into that because I don't want to become partisan here. It has nothing to do with the online creators. It has nothing to do with the users. What you and I and others post online, that doesn't change anything. It's about the platform. So there's no obligations for users or content creators. The obligations are towards the platforms, and that's it.
So no regulations on content creators, is that what you're saying?
No. It's just making sure that the streamers contribute more to our culture and they showcase more of who we are.
Okay, let's move to C-18 as well, because that's another interesting bill that's, of course, coming up right now. That's the Online News Act here. This one, it seems to be getting contentious with Google and Meta, et cetera, kind of balking at the idea of paying for Canadian journalists the work they're doing and to sort of republish it and put it on their websites here. How do you see this playing out? Because we've seen the Australian model. It's sort of, they called Australia's bluff, or Australia called their bluff, and it's worked there. Is that kind of what Canada's trying to replicate?
Well, what we're trying to do is make sure that these two giants contribute to the creation of news, right? Like, what's happening in the last years, Nick, is over 460 newsrooms have closed their doors, big, small, in regions, and this is not good for our democracy. They're disappearing. Now, there's about $10 million of ad revenues, online ad revenues. 80% of that $10 billion is going to two companies, Google and Facebook. And what we're saying is, okay, guys, good, you're making money, it's fine, but you have to contribute to those that produce the content you're putting online. So it's very simple.
The penalties are pretty, at least in the bill right now, are pretty extreme if they don't. Can you talk a bit about that and how enforceable you expect those to be?
The penalties are very important, like $15 million for a first time, and then it could be more. And it's important that we make sure that they understand that they have to do this and they have to contribute this, because if our newsrooms are disappearing, what happens to the quality of information? We need, independent, neutral, non-partisan journalism that asks the questions like what you're doing here. I was, going around today looking at all the work that is done by the people. Does this have value? Of course, it has value. They
Clearly
have to pay for it. No, but
but
I mean, it's fine. I mean, I love Facebook, Google's, and I use them every day. But at the same time, if this content is on their platforms, well, they should contribute too, because what you do has value.
Can you force them? Like, what if they don't? Could they decide to just leave?
They could. It's a business decision. They could, but they're making a lot of money in the country. They did threat Australia to do that, and Facebook did leave for, I think, a week, and then they came back. And it's a business decision. But at the end of the day, I think the smart decision for them is to, talk with us, discuss with us, and stay here.
Whether it's C-11 or whether it's C-18, is there any hit to a taxpayer in terms of anything that they may have to pay more for if these bills come forward?
No. It doesn't touch the consumer at all. This is between the streamers contributing to Canadian culture, and the other one is making sure that Google and Facebook contribute to newsrooms. So they sit together around a big table and they negotiate. Not a penny goes to government. Zero money goes to the government. What we want out of this is making sure that our cultural sector is thriving and that we still have newsrooms in our country to tell our stories, what's happening.
You seem really confident. Why are you so confident?
Because I think it's the right thing to do. I think that for C-11, I think the cultural sector is supporting us. For C-18, I think the news industry is supporting us. I think it's the right thing for Canadians.
Okay, Minister Pablo Rodriguez, thanks for joining us here on CP24 Live at noon. Good to talk to you this afternoon.
Good to talk
Take care.
to you.